but the world has shifted. Now, when we talk about mobility, we're talking about electromobility. And today we've just seen earlier on an earlier item on the electric charge infrastructure. Right now I'm joined by Kelley boss. Looking sharp as always, sir.
Thank you very much.
Good to see you. So when you talk about electric charges, for cars and ecosystem, when you look developed markets, for example, the US,
right.
People are having their Teslas all over the country. They have charging spots.
Yeah.
It's very convenient for them.
Right.
As we're starting as a country, first of all, what steps have we made thus far in regards to putting electric charge infrastructure?
So like you mentioned, like the West, whenever an entity comes in and says we are creating electric vehicles, the first burden they have is to start with charging stations. So you'd find like a Tesla charging station is not open for any other car, any other electric vehicle. The others would share, but Tesla is really exclusive. So whatever entity comes in that calls themselves an EV, they always think about charging stations first. And in Kenya also, the same thing is happening because we have this problem with charging stations, but Basigo, Rome are starting to build these charging stations, and we are starting to see them locally also.
Definitely.
Yeah.
That initial investment, is it something of concern? Also comparing with the amount of electric mobility cars, for example, bikes, all that. We have little number right now.
Yeah.
Which one precedes the other? Is it the uptake that will push the charging infrastructure, or is it the charging infrastructure being there ready, then uptake will catch later on?
So the people who move with cliche will say this like the egg and chicken, whatever. But I think for you to start anything and be like have goodwill over it, because it's somewhat environment more than it is cheap. Because eventually, gasoline was expensive. That's why electricity was expensive before. That's why people moved to gasoline. And now electricity is cheaper than gasoline. I'm so sure if we take it up more, it will be more expensive, and then you'll move. So how much it is shouldn't be the drive. The drive should be to clean energy. And to clean energy means you start with anything that will enable it. And charging stations first, and then you bring in cars.
All right. And as we finish up, we saw the Kenya Power MD, even in this unveil, and he says this is the first of many. Looking at the participation of the country and even the policy where we are in regards to EV. Not only touching on the charging stations, but the whole as a sector. Is it a conversation that we are having intentionally as a country to sort of fast track it?
Right. It's intentional, I think, because Kenya Power, like you mentioned, last year, I think mid last year, around August, they were talking about they are shopping around for contractor who will come in Kenya and build and set up and build maybe something that like try out Kenya for 18 months to 20 months, see if the environment is ready for EVs. But that means setting up electric charging station in Nairobi, Nakuru, Mombasa, these hotspots, so we can have charging stations and test if Kenyans can really buy. And so that's good intent. And then at the same time, Kenya Power through EPRA, like the other time we were talking, have these electric vehicles tariff. So at night when you're charging, when people are not using the grid so much, you have a cheaper, as cheap as nearly 10 shillings. From a normal person using power would use 27 shillings like ourselves, 27 shillings tariff, and a person who is charging would use 17 shillings. Later at night, it goes up to 9 shillings for a person who's using an EV. So that's enabling, and that's good for the environment.
Sort of incentivize that.
Yes.
And I know the imagination around these charging spots, because, sort of in our minds, they're parallel with our filling stations.
Yes.
Yeah?
Yes.
So does it operate differently? Will people be lining up? And look at this charging spots. I mean, charging takes longer, unlike just filling in a couple of minutes.
Yes.
How's the operation, the brick and mortar movement around a charging spot?
Yeah, good question. I'll give you an example. So the new charging station has 6 stations. That means only 6 buses can sit there and charge. But the good thing with charging is you take quite a while to drain your battery. So if 6 can charge overnight, not necessarily overnight, half a night, then 6 more can charge the other half a night. And we don't think we have more buses than those 12. Of course, we have more buses. I'm just kidding, but that's how it works. You can't quickly gasoline, no. It's really 6 hours in, and then 6 hours, maybe if it charges for 6 hours, but it's a bus starts to the finish and then the next one. So it takes quite a while. That's why we need more charging stations or more stations. So the good thing with the intention also is these guys who have only 6 stations are thinking of having 24 in a few. So that's like good for whoever wants to get into the EV market. And then another thing is we used to have charging stations for only Nopia Ride, for only this mall, for only that mall, but now this Basigo one is open for anyone. Okay. So if I have my own VW that is EV, I can go and charge it there.
Yeah, that's incredible, man. Yes, for sure. I normally love these conversations on Fridays. You've realized the 2 Fridays we've spoken now.
I like it.
I know it is. I think we'll create some room for some Tech Friday.
You know. Yes.
That would be cool. But I really appreciate your input.
Thank
Kelley.
you so much.
Always good to see you.
Good to see you too.
Yeah, what a gentleman. Kelley Boss, our in-house